Hi, everyone. I'm Steve. I'm here with David Wright. Thanks for being here, David.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
So, David is a personal trainer and nutrition coach at Parkway Athletic Club in Carson City. And we're going to talk about a topic that we like to talk about a lot, a topic I talk a lot about with Brian, one of our other trainers. But this is something that can sneak up on people. And all of a sudden, you're gaining weight. And this was 6 years ago, and you were eating right and doing everything right, but then everything was going sideways. So we're going to talk about that and a good possibility what that can be. First, if you guys are interested in our weight loss program, use the QR code on the screen, or there's a link in the description. And David is one of our nutrition coaches. If you're interested in interviews with personal trainers, doctors, nutritionists, subscribe to the channel. All right, so the thing that this could be is your hormones can be off. And this is something that's so controversial. People think that, you're on gear. No, you're not using steroids. I'm on it, you're on it. We're not using steroids. But are we enhanced? Absolutely. I say that all the time. But creatine will enhance you. Nutrients, protein powder will enhance you. A lot of things will enhance your performance. Eating right will enhance your performance. But go ahead and tell the story. And then there's also a link in the description if you guys are interested in finding out more about TRT, Royal Medical. You can call Dane. There's a link in the description there. You'll get a discount. I always recommend that you maybe check out some other different clinics, but I like Royal Medical. They've always been good to me, and we're affiliated with them. And they have all the professionals, and they specialize in this, and you can find out about getting your hormones right. So tell us what happened. See, I didn't know that my testosterone was low, but this was in my 50s, and I had no symptoms. Now, you did have symptoms in your 30s, and you were doing everything right. So tell us the story, how you came to realize, hey, maybe my testosterone is low. So tell us that story. And then we'll also get into, the pros and the cons and what people say about doing it on both sides of the spectrum. So go ahead, tell us the story, how you figured it out.
Yeah, so I mean, Steve is the viewers who've watched this channel for a while know that I'm a bodybuilder, men's physique athlete, and so back in 2019, I had already competed a couple of times. I was going to be competing again that year, and I worked out 6, 7 days a week, sometimes 5, depending on schedule, etc. Eating right, very, very healthy, not eating junk food. In a past life, so to speak, I had weighed 200 and almost 60 pounds by doing the exact opposite of that. So I had lost a lot of weight and then, started going to the gym, getting in shape, all of those great things and eating the right stuff. One of the things that, though I felt tremendously better just from doing that, of course, as I was, preparing to do a bodybuilding show, my coach and I sat down together and we were going over what my progress was and things like that. And he said, have you ever had your testosterone checked? And I said, well, no, because like you, Steve, I didn't really have any, symptoms, so to speak. Everything seemed to be okay. I didn't feel any certain type of way. I mean, so I had no reason to go get it checked in my late 30s. And he said, well, let's have you go, get that checked because I just have a feeling that it might be a little bit low because you should be making more progress fat loss wise. And now granted, I looked great, but it wasn't to where what my work I was putting in should have gotten me to at that point. So I went and got it checked, and my levels were extremely low. And when I say levels, I'm talking, you know, total testosterone level was probably like 150, which is basically nothing for somebody in their late 30s. And really the doctor, for me was like, hey, you probably would be close to zero if you weren't doing all the right things, if you weren't working out, and eating really good foods and all the things that you are doing, it'd be worse. So, for me, it was a huge eye opener, and it made a lot of sense. So since that point, I went over with my doctor and with my coach, talked to them about these things, made the decision to go on testosterone replacement therapy. And I haven't looked back since. So that was 6 years ago, and it's not a crazy, high level, from some unknown shady source. It's from a doctor's office, and you know normal amounts, whatever that might be, a little different for everybody. But I feel 100% different in terms of energy. Being able to, like in my lifestyle, competing in bodybuilding shows, a lot more able to get into the condition that I need to, or even if I'm not competing, keeping fat, down and that kind of thing, as long as I'm eating right. So getting the results that I should have been getting to begin with, but I had no reason to check. So that's one of the things that's very interesting for a lot of people, is they may or may not check that because they don't even think about it as something that might be a little bit off.
Yeah. Testosterone level, total testosterone in the 100s at any age 70 is in the toilet.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I don't
totally.
care
It
if
was
you're age
really
70.
bad.
That's in the toilet, and you need to get that fixed.
Absolutely.
Before I forgot to tell you guys, Vitality1 is the promo code if you want to contact Royal Medical. So use that promo code for the discount. So, and the doctors will tell you that, especially ones that specialize in this, that low testosterone, you're at risk for a lot of different health issues, heart disease. You're going to probably have brain fog, lack of energy. And this is a big indication of, hey, that you might start to wonder if your testosterone is low. If you're doing like David and you're not eating anything crazy, you haven't changed your diet, you're eating the way you've always eaten, and it's however it is, it's consistent. Then all of a sudden, you're starting to gain body fat and you haven't done anything different. You haven't changed anything. That would be the first thing that would make me suspicious that the testosterone is low, because all of a sudden, it drops. And then, hey, wait a minute. Why am I getting fat? And then you start walking, or you add more exercise, or you try to eat cleaner, and you're still getting fat. Good chance your testosterone is low. Now, even if you guys are in your 20s, I recommend getting your testosterone checked so you know what your baseline is, because testosterone really varies. You're in your 100s. I think normal is somewhere in the low 300s up to, depending on the scale, sometimes it'll go to 1,000, 900 to 1,050 or so. That would be the high end of normal. But the free testosterone is very important. My free testosterone is really high. So if you're in your 20s and your testosterone is 400, that's low. That's really low. There's environmental factors, what's in the food, what's in the water, what's in the air, and the plastics and all that stuff, I think has to do with lower testosterone these days. But the reason you want to know what your testosterone is, whatever your age is, let's say you're 24, you feel great. Go get your testosterone checked. Let's say your total testosterone is 900. That's great. Why do you want to know that? Because when you're 40 and you go in and you're feeling horrible, and the doctor has your testosterone checked and he says it's 375, you're fine. You're in the normal range. You're going to pull out that, blood work from 15 years ago, and you're going to say, it's not fine. See, I used to be 900. I used to be 950 when I was 24, 25. Now it's 375. That is not good. That's why you want to have a baseline. If you get your testosterone checked and you're 22 and it's 400 and you start doing everything right, you might be able to bring it up to 500. So then when you get it checked, when you're 50 and it's 450, well, you're right at baseline. But if it was 900, it's been cut in half. That's why you want to know what that baseline is. I go get my free testosterone checked. Something that I use to improve my free testosterone is boron. I think it works great. I take 5 milligrams a day. It lowers the sex hormone binding globule, which when that goes down, your free testosterone is going to go up. It has to do with binding to the total testosterone and taking away testosterone that's free testosterone that your body actually uses. So boron helps me really good, and I'm on a small dose. So just to give you guys an example, my testosterone was, 375. Doctor said, that's a little low, let's bump it up just to, keep your heart strong and all that. So only 1,000 milligrams. 100 milligrams. That's it. That would definitely be a steroid cycle.
That would be
But
crazy.
yeah, that would be. And some people do that, which is absolutely not healthy. But only 100 milligrams bumps my testosterone up to 1,000. And that's significant with such a small dose. Now you take a higher dose, and what does it get you up to?
So right now I'm kind of around, I think our dose is like 180 milligrams right now. But that keeps me pretty steady around the 1,000 to 1,100 range. And it always kind of has. We've also lowered the dose a little bit when I'm not kind of getting into competition mode and that kind of thing, because we talked about with the more testosterone you have, even if it's just a little bit more, keeping it at that nice high level, especially trying to compete, is really beneficial. So that's about where I'm at, and that's about 180 milligrams in a week. So it's not anything crazy. There are people that do a lot of other crazy things, but that's not even a one milliliter injection a day, or sorry, not a day. Holy moly, per week. So
Right.
yeah, that's where we're at right now.
And I'm 100 milligrams for a whole week. Also, I break it up into 3 small injections, very small injections. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is what I do with an insulin needle, subcutaneous. I've found that it just is more stable that way. I don't get the spikes. But your body obviously responds very well to it also, because I've heard of some people, a lot of times Royal Medical puts you right on 200 milligrams if it's that low. And that will bring it up to, maybe for a lot of people, that'll only bring it up to 550. If you're 150 and you take 200 milligrams a week, 100 milligram injection twice a week, for a lot of people, that'll only take them up to 550. Now, you have a smaller dose and it takes you up to the same as where mine is, 1,000, 1,100 is where I usually come in at on the total. But that's because I'm doing everything else right. I'm exercising. I'm eating clean. That matters. So our bodies are responding better to the testosterone, probably because of how clean we eat and our, intense exercise programs. Now, that everyone's different. I say this all the time. Just because you get a 200 milligram dose and it only goes up to 450, 500, that doesn't mean you're doing everything wrong.
Right.
It just means everyone's different and everyone's going to respond different. Everyone's going to get different results. One thing that's important with this is you got to get your protein up. Get your protein up. I'm at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I think you're probably at the same or even more, right?
Yeah, just a little over that. Like right now, for example, I'm about 205 pounds, kind of in my cutting down cycle, but my protein remains pretty stable at about 220 grams. So, just a little bit over a pound, or I mean, sorry, a gram per pound of body weight. But yeah, in that same range.
Right. So it's just like your diet and eating and getting your macros right and getting your protein right. Everyone is different, and you've got to kind of experiment and try things for yourself and think for yourself. That's really important, in my opinion, is to think for yourself. I don't just blindly go doing what a doctor tells me to do. Why? I want to know why. Well, what about this? And I always have lots of questions, and it's almost like I'm arguing with them, you know, because I want to get this dialed in. And it's important to know why, and it's important to know your own body because everyone is different.
Yeah,
So,
and so Steve, if I could just add for a second, one of the things that you're mentioning, how everybody is, different and, responds differently. I'm just going to throw in there, and there could be probably a whole nother video in the future about this, but just very briefly, one of the things to consider, what we're eating, as we talked about, clean eating, healthy eating, it's going to make a huge difference in terms of how your body is working and a lot of times how the medication's being, absorbed and utilized. But the other thing to really consider as well is, where I came from at 260 pounds, that's a lot of excess, fat tissue. So fat tissue is hormonally active and does a lot of different things to your body. So even if maybe you're extremely overweight, a little bit overweight, whatever the case might be, you've got to also understand that even on things like testosterone, your testosterone might be a little bit low. You go get, TRT treatment, and maybe you're not, jumping from 150 to 1,000 with 200 milligrams or whatnot. But as your body composition changes as well, some of this stuff might also, that dose might start working a little bit better and better because, you're improving your diet, but you're also losing this hormonally active tissue that's causing chaos all over the place for you. So there's a benefit to all of it, which is, eating clean and eating healthy is going to be so beneficial for you to begin with, forgetting about testosterone for a minute, just in general health. And when your general health is better, your gut's better, all these other things are better, your body's running better, and then you get your testosterone levels, to an appropriate place to where they should be a good base number. I mean, that's a whole different ballgame at that point. Whether you're a bodybuilder or you're just somebody who wants to be healthy, the two are one and the same in terms of getting your levels to where they should be, and that's going to be through healthy eating, but it's also sometimes through the TRT. And we talked a little bit about, is it steroids, is it cheating, is it this, is it that, is it enhancement? Absolutely, because if it wasn't, I'd be at 150 and I would not be able to accomplish physically
you'd be
what I
some
can
serious
now.
skinny fat.
Right. And that's the thing is, does it enhance me? Of course it does. Because I couldn't do what I want to do or be where I'm at right now without that enhancement. Is it steroids? No. It has a steroid type effect, but testosterone does that. That's what steroids try to mimic and enhance, like the ones you hear about. That's what they try to do or do similar things to, like a testosterone cypionate, for example. They try to do the same types of things, but at a more extreme level and have different levels of toxicity than that. So it's not the same as the steroids that you hear about and that everybody thinks everybody in the gym is on and all those crazy rumors and whatnot. It's a lot different than that. This is for a specific clinical health reason, and it's at a healthy, monitored dose by a physician. And so, yes, it's enhancing, but like you mentioned, great point earlier. Are we enhanced if we take creatine? Are we enhanced if we take, a protein powder? Yes, because these are all things that are above and beyond what we're eating, which should be healthy anyway, which for you and I it is. Um, but these are all things on top of that, which enhances you. So when we throw around the word enhanced, a lot of people immediately think, black market, back alley steroid enhancement. That's not it at all. Enhancing is just simply, you know, you have something above and beyond what you would normally have through just normal, like, healthy eating and exercise, which, of course, anything that supplements, that's an enhancement. So it's not a bad thing. It actually, who would think, enhancing your life and your quality of your life because the testosterone makes a huge difference. That's not a bad thing at all. That makes your quality of life better. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, that sometimes even if you're coming from the place where I was at, very, very overweight, obese, really, let's get real with it. 260 pounds, that's a lot of body fat. So, that kind of played into where my hormones were. Even though I lost all that weight and it was great and I was eating good, like, I had already messed that part up fairly young in my life. So even if you're not overweight or obese or have a weight problem, you could still have similar issues. That's just my experience and kind of what helped cause that. That's one of those things that, just to throw out there for people to consider.
Yeah, and I would add two things to that. We said you've got people with different opinions on this.
Sure.
First of all, it's not magic. I say that all the time. Are we enhanced? Absolutely. Is it magic? No. Is this going to turn you into a gorilla or a Hercules? No, it's not. It's the diet and the training and all those things that you do are what help you put on muscle. Now, is this unhealthy? No. As long as now we're not doctors, we're not scientists. So you need to talk to specialists about this, like Royal Medical, and they'll make sure they do blood work and all that, or your physician. But the specialists are going to say that this is going to improve your health in almost every category. Here's why. Your body is becoming more efficient. So just apply common sense. I've done this. Okay, if you've got fatty liver, would TRT help you improve that situation? Probably. Why wouldn't it? Your body's going to be more efficient and you're going to use nutrients more effective. You're going to get rid of body fat. It's going to help you. Would it help diabetes? Probably. Why wouldn't it? You're working out, your hormones are right, glucose is going into the muscle cells properly. It seems like it would. So, in my opinion, getting your hormones right is going to help everything. It's going to help your metabolism. If you're pre-diabetic, it's going to help improve all those things. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just applying my brain to say, hey, if my body works better here, it's going to affect this. And so it's just common sense. Now, can it be harmful? Yes. If you take too much, you're going to have all the benefits that you get from testosterone replacement therapy. If you take too much of that and you abuse it, which a lot of people do, they think more is better. I want to get bigger. I want to get bigger. You can't just keep taking more and getting bigger and better and stronger. No, there's a point of where there's not going to be a return on your investment. You have to keep it normal because the idea here is to maximize your health, not to be Hercules. So, if you overdo it with this, all the symptoms that it's helping you to improve, if you overdo it, it's going to create harm in all those same areas. Too much testosterone is, I'm sure, not good for your heart. It's not good for a lot of things. And so you're asking for it if you overdo it. But it's that way when you overdo anything. So it has to be the right number for you. It has to be supervised by a physician, and your doctor needs to be monitoring your blood work and coaching you along to make sure that you're doing this right and to make sure it's maximizing your health as opposed to harming your health. Any last thoughts,
Absolutely.
David?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more on that. I just, for me, it's really important for people to understand that, I've even heard of younger people who may not even need it to begin with, start using small doses and then because we get the idea that it's, TRT treatment. So when I say that, I mean, there are bunches of different testosterone injection types, or shall I say, like testosterone cypionate, testosterone propionate. There's a whole bunch. Standard one, usually, again, I'm not a doctor, but testosterone cypionate. And people think, well, if I just use that, because that's what everybody's getting normal doses of, then it's safe and I can use however much. That's absolutely not the case. Like Steve was talking about, uh, it's more about taking a very monitored dose that a physician prescribes to you, and that you can be monitored. You get your blood work done on a fairly regular basis to monitor what that effect is on not only your testosterone but a whole bunch of other things. That they'll do a blood panel generally, to check other levels of things, because it can affect different things like your cholesterol, or other different areas, and you want to make sure that, yeah, maybe your testosterone's going up, but let's make sure that other things are still in line where they need to be. Otherwise, again, you're working with your physician. They will help kind of determine, should we increase, decrease the dose? Is there another issue here? Whatever the case might be. So that's why it's important to not just, oh, I want to get bigger and I want to get bigger and I want to get bigger or leaner, or whatever the case might be. So I'm just going to take more and more of this stuff, especially if you're doing it at home. Sometimes people start taking more and more, and the problem is, yeah, I mean, your body can only process this stuff so much and so efficiently, that if you're taking, X amount more than you should be, or that's appropriate, which a doctor would let you know, then your body's going to have a heck of a time, and then it becomes toxic to you. So just because that's, let's say, testosterone cypionate again, is something that's pretty standard from a doctor, that doesn't mean it's safe to take as much as you want. And that's kind of the misconception, is I can take this, it's safe, everybody's taking it, but I'm going to take, I don't know, 500 milligrams, which is extreme. Okay. But there are people who do stuff like that. So I'm going to take 500 milligrams a week because I really want to, buff up and do whatever my goal is. Problem is, you're going to have a lot of other problems that are probably going to be worse than what you're trying to get away from. Or if you didn't have problems to begin with and you just jumped on testosterone replacement therapy to gain muscle and that kind of thing, you need to really have a purpose to be on the testosterone. To just jump on it to, I wouldn't even say enhance yourself at that point. I'd say really just, then at that point I would say, okay, yeah, it's a steroid type of a thing where you don't even need the enhancement. What you're doing is unnecessary. So then that's when it becomes pretty dangerous. So you don't want to mess around with medications, whether it's testosterone or anything else, but you really want to make sure that you're doing these things appropriately, the appropriate amounts. That's really important to talk with your physician about this, and keep it monitored, because you want to be healthy at the end of the day. There's a lot of people that have heart related issues and all this other stuff happening, and it's not necessarily because of TRT. It's because there might be other contributing factors, but one of the things a lot of times is they're taking other things, or if it's just the TRT, they're taking way too much of it, and there's only so much your body can handle. So just the end of the day, be safe, be taking appropriate levels, and have them monitored by a doctor, and then you will not believe the difference, and the amount it will add to your health and to your well-being in general. But you got to be safe about it.
Yeah. And, we'll have to do one of these with Eric and Brian, two other personal trainers. I don't know if Eric was talking about how he just got on it maybe 8 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. He's like, this is a life changer. And it was for Brian too. Mentally, emotionally, just a game changer. So we'll bring those guys in and kind of have a 4-way discussion about it and how it's worked for each of us. So, David, if people want to follow you, see what you're doing with your competitions, how do they do that?
So they can follow me on Instagram, Steve, at David Wright _fitness. That's where I have all basically my transformation from 260 pounds to now, where I'm at in preparation for a show this coming October here. And then at Wright Fitness Training, also on Instagram, building kind of a personal training page there. So either one of those.
All right. Thanks for being with us, Dave.
Thanks, Steve.